We have a great show here. We have more foreign policy to talk about because some cray-cray stuff happened the other day, fam, and I don't think people really understood the gist of it. They just saw some oil fields in Saudi Arabia catch on fire, okay? But the question is, by who? Now, the first thing I thought right away, I thought it's going to be Houthi rebels because that's who Saudi Arabia has been bombing in Yemen. They have been bombing everybody, let's be honest. There's a serious blockade. It's a humanitarian crisis going on over there, and they're at war with the Houthis. And, you know, we have also, Bernie Sanders has tried to inject legislation. Ro Khanna, whether we agree with him or not, he was out there in front with the situation. He had and certain independent media outlets were able to point out the fact that there is a serious human rights situation going on in Yemen.
Absolutely.
So we thought off the bat, hey, it could be Houthi rebels, you know? So we thought that was right off the bat. But then you start digging a little deeper and you say, wait a second, fam. This could be an inside job. A friend of mine called me from overseas and says, Pasta, this is a good chance there's an inside job. There's an oil company that just had an IPO. And when these oil fields set on fire, the price of gasoline now is going to skyrocket through the roof, and therefore they're going to make a lot of money. So henceforth, Aramco, I believe is the name of the company, and, you know, there's another look on it. There's a chance that this could be an inside job to also, you know, geopolitically, you're going to shut some people out financially of gas. In other words, if there's a shortage on gas, look at this. Somebody just left a $400 super chat and said, oops, I meant $20. Message redacted. Don't worry about it. Kameshwari Kate, you really, please continue to do journalism on your terms. Super chat.
Thank you.
She took back the 4, gave the 4. We understand. Don't worry about it. You got Saudi Arabia on us. So you just jumped up the IPO of the CONVO couch, and now it just went back down.
I just want to point out, though, that the majority of people, when they saw this, and the mainstream media, of course, was blaming Iran, including our president, Donald J. Trump. And
that was number 3.
That's well, okay. So that's the most obvious thing that it's not, because we've been trying to blame Iran so we can go to war with Iran for a while now, if you recall.
Well, I mean, I think there's also something going on. When our president fired John Bolton, that was a really, really knife in the back, we thought, or in the side, or just hitting at the kneecaps of the deep state that wanted a war with Iran. Bolton has been writing op-eds for years and been talking about going to war with Iran, they're evil, fighting this war, this Israeli war that, you know, once again, so immediately, Pompeo, they said Iran right off the bat. So it was kind of weird to see that, because we thought the transgressions, when it would happen with Bolton getting fired, I see this as the last chance as the deep state trying to make a move, desperate to get us into a war with Iran, because a lot of people want war with Iran. Fair.
Right. Absolutely. I 100% agree with you there. But what other evidence would you say it wasn't these?
Well, here's the thing. There's always been this talk about the Houthi rebels. The Houthi rebels are getting supplied weaponry by Iran, but there's been a lot of talks against that. One of the reasons it is because there's a big blockade. It's going to be very hard to get weaponry in there, and the Houthi government in Iran has never been aligned. Now, lately, they've been aligned more politically. I think Iran has been standing up, whatnot, but this to me seems like a Gulf of Tonkin kind of incident, where it's something that can be done to itself, so then we can point the fingers at Iran and possibly go to war with Iran. But once again, if you look back, and Trump said this, and we're going to dive into this a little bit later too. We're going to talk about Tulsi's reaction, because she's the only one who really caught this. It said Saudi Arabia's oil supply was attacked. This is Donald J. Trump, by the way. There is reason to believe we know who the culprit is, and we are locked and loaded depending on verification. But we are waiting to hear from the kingdom as to who they believe caused this attack and under what terms will we proceed. Now, he wasn't alone. Of course, all the neocons jumped on with him. Leader McConnell was out there. Iran's brazen attack, once again, just like the oil tanker, fam. They get no proof.
And they're just accusing Iran.
And they're pressing the buttons. But here's the important thing to remember, fam, and I'm going to talk about this really quick. We know from WikiLeaks, okay, that the Houthi rebels don't get their weaponry, if they get any, from Iran. they get their weaponry. We're going to put this up here. It's an anti-war blog. It says WikiLeaks cable from 2009 about the Houthis in Iran. And it says simply that they get all their weaponry from the black market. 75% of it is coming from the Houthi and the black market within Saudi Arabia and whatnot. So they don't get any weaponry from Iran. And more or less, another thing to think about is that, and you can see this. This is by, I'm going to go down real quick. Alabama Moon. Can we get that one up? This is a very interesting one. This is dated August 17, 2019 right here. And it says, and I got this from American Vagabond. American Vagabond is so awesome. He's one of my favorite shows. If you ain't subscribed, go over there and subscribe. And he talks about a long-range missile attack on a Saudi oil field ends the war in Yemen. And it appears, and they had it right here. This is a picture of their drones. And they've created these type of drones, fam, that aren't used with satellites, that they can get longitude and latitude in there. And even though there's a lot of people who want war with Iran, Saudi Arabia is very, very vulnerable. It's all sand dunes. It's not mountains. So you can take a drone. And this shows on August 17th, the Houthis hit an oil refinery, but it wasn't really widely reported in the mainstream media. And they said plain and simple, if you don't withdraw your attacks, if you don't stop your transgressions, we're going to continue to bomb you. And more will come. They didn't stop. We talked about how many buses got blown up. 3 or 4 buses got blown up. The mainstream media only reported one. They didn't report the other 2. I mean, you're talking about women and children. So the Houthis kept up their attacks. And then this time, they sent their drones deep into the heart of Saudi Arabia. And in 2002, there was this war. I showed you yesterday, guys. You saw it. There was this war drill. And it was called the Millennium Challenge of 2002. And the deep state and the neocons were trying to show the Americans that a war with Iran is very winnable. So they had one of their generals, and they spent millions of dollars, $215 million, I believe, on these drills. They had one of the American generals take the lead of the Iranian army. Well, the way Iran is geographically located, the country's mostly mountain. So an air attack is tough. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to be able to get them. They're going to be able to go inside, hide in these mountains. It's just like Afghanistan. We haven't been able to get rid of the Taliban in 20 years. Iran is just as hard, if not harder. If you also employ the tactics they will use in the Gulf. A friend of mine called me. He said, can you imagine going into a room one way, and there's only one door out, or the door to get back out, and there's a bunch of flies and bees all over the place. And you got to either go into the Strait of Hormuz, or you got to sit there and try to fight what's around you. And this general used these tactics of taking these speedboats, of when they had, all these ships in the Gulf, and suicide missions right into them. And they sunk aircraft carriers, and they almost eliminated the Navy that was in that range because they can use those tactics. The way Iran is geographically located, on land and in sea, a war with them would be 10 times more deadlier than it would be with Iraq. It's just awful. However, despite this report of the Millennial Challenge, despite of experts saying that we need to stay out of there are still some people, fam, and I'll end right here and hand it over to you. They want war with Iran, and even though we got rid of Bolton, the coast is not clear.
Yeah, I mean, I 100% believe you, because I've been looking at these myself, and it just basically looks like another typical U.S. attempt to engage in war with Iran. And that's the thing, like, we don't really know what he means by locked and loaded when he says that, but I mean, we can infer that it means like we're ready to go to war with Iran, because the thing is, we always frame it like this is dangerous, that we need to do this because they can attack us, they're attacking our democracy, that we're in danger, that they're attacking the poor Saudis. Can we stop idolizing the Saudi Arabians or completely clearing them of everything that they've done? Yeah. They've committed so many atrocities to the people in Yemen. We are still fighting for us to not continue supplying weapons to them. But of course, Donald Trump, as Tulsi puts it right here, is Saudi Arabia's biatch. So let's look at Tulsi. She had a video and she had a tweet. So she said, "Real Donald Trump. Trump awaits instructions from his Saudi masters. Having our country act as Saudi Arabia's bitch is not America first." And she's directly responding to him right here. Do we have the video, Johnny? Yeah, let's just quickly play the video.
It's an awesome video, by the way.
Yeah,
That
yes,
right
absolutely.
Yesterday, President Trump offered to place our military, my brothers and sisters in uniform, under the command of Prince Mohammed bin Salman, the dictator of the Islamist Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Trump said we are locked and loaded, but are waiting to hear from the kingdom as to who they believe was the cause of this attack and under what terms we would proceed. Now, Mr. President, as you know, I have never engaged in hateful rhetoric against you or your family, and I never will. But you're offering our military assets.
Yeah.
Is that it?
The kingdom,
Yeah,
hateful
it was a
rhetoric.
short one.
But you're offering our military assets to the dictator of Saudi Arabia to use as he sees fit is a betrayal of my brothers and sisters in uniform who are ready to give our lives for our country, not for the Islamist dictator of Saudi Arabia. And for you to think that you can pimp out our proud servicemen and women to the Prince of Saudi Arabia is disgraceful. And it once again shows that you are unfit to serve as our commander-in-chief. As a member of Congress and as a soldier, I and all of my brothers and sisters in uniform have taken an oath to protect and defend the American people and the Constitution of the United States of America. There is nothing in our Constitution that gives you the power to go to war without the express consent of Congress. What to speak of giving you the power to offer our military to a foreign power like the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to use as they wish. President Trump, your words and actions are a betrayal of my brothers and sisters in uniform, the American people, and our Constitution. My fellow service members and I, we are not your prostitutes. You are not our pimp.
Wow. Them fighting words. So a lot of people, you know, who don't like Tulsi have been equating her with the right, have been saying, you know, she's pro-war, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, she's not. She doesn't stand with Donald Trump at all in any way, shape, or form, because Donald Trump stands still in one way or another for the war machine. Even though he's gotten rid of Bolton, he shouldn't have hired him in the first place. Even though he campaigned as an anti-interventionist, he's been anything but that. So the reality is that Tulsi is going to speak out against that. And it's very important here for what she's saying, because if you're going to talk about putting America first, let's switch the idea that putting America first isn't engaging in war. Let's protect our veterans. I mean, that is the whole idea of putting America first. And this is where her words as a veteran, as someone that's been involved in Congress too, she can literally make that bridge here that other people cannot. And she's the only one that I've seen out of the presidential candidates speaking out very specifically against what Donald Trump is doing.
You know, I mean, she does separate the yin from the yang. It's a shame that most of our Democrats on that stage now that are running for president are all lock, stop, and step and barrel with the neocons, except for Bernie, of course. And once again, he can even do a better job when it comes to these things. But, you know, by far, he was the best one on that stage the other day. But we really have to talk about where the roots of this come, because even though we're saying that Donald Trump, you know, stop being Saudi Arabia's bitch, the United States was Saudi Arabia's bitch a long time before that. You know what I'm saying? Now you see a lot of people from the Obama administration talking about, oh, Saudi Arabia is not our ally. Really? Then why did Obama go over there and hang out with them? Give them money. Give them weaponry. You know what I'm saying? It was always about the petrodollar, and when something like this happened, they're going to try to draw us in to do their bidding, to be their bitch, because we have rewarded them so much with oil, by getting oil specifically from them. They were our bitch where we wanted to bleed out Venezuela, so they lowered their price, and it's always about the petrodollar. And even Non Diplôme Beneme says, could be a USA job. We are now exporting oil and making money since the bombing occurred. They need to show us something. So, I mean, he even talks about it. This could be an inside job. It could be an inside job from Iran, from the Saudis trying to get us into war with Iran. It could be whatever, or it could be the Houthi rebels just saying, don't mess with us anymore. You better pull back, get out of here, and then let us do business.
We're never going to go to war to protect people, because that's why we haven't gone to war to protect Yemen against the Saudis. But we will go to war for the Saudis because of the oil and the money that we have to protect them from people these people may or may not be defending themselves from the way they're being treated. And it goes for the same with the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. If we really cared about protecting people, we would have protected the Palestinians a long time ago instead of supplying Israel with weapons to continue doing what they do.
Yeah. And, you know, it's the thing about that, too, as well, is that the fact that the Israeli government is, well, not so much the government, but the AIPAC lobbyists has just got our freaking Congress bought hand and fist.
Oh, yeah.
It's just disgusting. There are some people, we're going to get back to this real quick, but there are some people on the Facebook fam.